As a beginner formulator and DIY, you must have been seeing a lot of formulators writing ingredients in percentages and grams. You might also have been wondering how they are able to know the percentage to attach to each individual ingredient. In this video, we'll be focusing on how to attach percentage to ingredients and how to know what phase an ingredient goes into your formulation. If you are new to making skincare and hair care products, the easiest way to know your ingredient usage rate is to ask your cosmetic ingredient supplier. That's why you need to buy product from the right places. Buy product from people that are NAFTA certified, people that sell quality raw materials, because your raw materials have a lot of impact in your finished product. I remember when I just started formulating, there was a time I got preservative from a local market. After a few days, there was microbial growth in my formulation. Why? Because the preservative was already diluted and I didn't know that it was not original. Because I was new into formulation, so I didn't know where to get the right material. So if you're just starting out, it's advisable to buy from people that are NAFTA certified, because they will give you a detailed explanation of each ingredient you are getting from them. They will give you the expiry date, the usage rate, the pH at which you use them. And even if it's not in their product, you can log into their website. You get details about the ingredients you're purchasing from them. So don't just go to the local market and start buying raw materials. Most of the raw materials in the local market are adulterated. They will spoil your work. And another thing, you will not be able to understand the usage rate because you're just starting out, especially when you're dealing with product ingredient like actives. Even if you are formulating just for yourself and your family, you need to get quality raw materials. You don't want to apply something that is not safe on your hair, on your skin. So you need to go to the right place to get the right product. Yes, it might be more expensive than the local market, but you're certain that you're buying quality over quantity. So any cosmetic ingredient supplier should be able to provide you with formulating guideline. There should be vital information on their website or on the product you are buying. Another way to know your usage rate is to make research about each individual ingredient you're using in your formulation. If you want to be a good formulator, you need to be a researcher, because even as a professional formulator, you also need to research about ingredients you'll be using in your formulation. So that's another easier way for you to understand what goes into my product, what's the usage rate, what phase am I going to put it? Is it in the cool down phase? Is it in the heat phase? You understand? So you need to know how to research your ingredient. It may take a lot of time, trial and error, a lot of experiments to perfect the usage rate, but you need to keep doing it, because the more you do it, the more you become used to it. It's just like cooking. You don't just start cooking today and you perfect cooking. As you develop in making skincare and hair care products, you get a better knowledge of which percentage each ingredient should be used at. This is determined by what your product is going to be. Still on usage rate, let's talk about dermal limit. Dermal limit is the maximum percentage your formulation should contain. When you're formulating, each ingredient you're using in your formulation has a limit at which you can use each of the ingredients. Like you are using ingredients like carrier oils, hydrosol, floral waters. Those ones you can use them as a very high percentage. You can decide to use carrier oil at 80%, 90%. You can decide to use your floral waters 80%, 90%. But there are some sensitive ingredients that have a dermal limit at which if you try to exceed that limit, you might be endangering your customer. If you're the one using the product, you'll be endangering your own self. Example of such products are preservative, essential oils, fragrances, and even some actives. They have a dermal limit that when you exceed the dermal limit, it becomes harmful to the user. The usage rate for essential oil is like 0.1 to 1%. Using it above 1%, it could cause a lot of allergic reaction to the person using it. So you have to be mindful of the usage of essential oils. That is why it's good to learn how to measure in percentages and in grams. Because when you are using drops, you might not know if you've exceeded the dermal limit. When it comes to fragrances, you can use from 0.5 to 3%, depending on the formulation and your supplier recommendation. Another ingredient that has a dermal limit is preservative. Preservative is dependent on your choice of preservative. That's what will determine your dermal limit. Like some preservative that you can use at 0.5, some at 1%, some at 1.5%. So it depends on your preservative of choice and your formulation that you are using the preservative in. Like Liquid Dermal Plus should not exceed 0.5 as the percentage, as the usage rate. So those are the things that you need to look out for when you're formulating. You need to know your dermal limit, especially when you're using those specific ingredients. Even your actives comes with a usage rate. Do not exceed the usage rate because you want it to work fast, because you want it a fast action, because you are endangering your user, or if you are the one even using it, you are endangering yourself. The manufacturers already know the effect of whatever percentage they attach to it. Kindly stick with the manufacturer's recommendation for your own safety and for your consumer safety. Another thing we want to briefly look at is phasing. I believe you must have also been hearing about phasing. You see they say phase A, phase B, phase C, cool down phase, heat phase, and all that. So we are going to talk briefly on phasing. In cosmetic formulation, ingredients are phased to make the process easier and to help avoid human errors. When you phase them, it makes you so organized. It makes you do everything that you're doing without making mistake, without any error, without confusion. So it's easier to formulate when you write a formula and break it in phases. Another reason why we phase ingredients is because some ingredients are oil soluble, some are water soluble, some are heat sensitive, while some aren't heat sensitive. So when you phase them, it's like bashing the ones that are heat sensitive, they are together. The ones that are oil soluble, they are together. The ones that are water soluble, they are together. Doing it that way help you to stay focused. It helps you to know that every ingredient has gone into the right phase. There is no mix up in your work. You know when to add the cool down phase ingredient. You know when to add the heat sensitive ingredient. But when you don't phase it, you can get it so disorganized that you don't even remember whether you've added essential oil. You don't know whether you've added preservative. You don't know. But phasing them makes your work look neat. It makes you avoid human error. So now that we are done with ingredient usage rates and phasing in cosmetic formulation, let's quickly go to how to create a formula from scratch. How do you write a formula from scratch? You need to break down the steps for you to be able to get a good formula. The first thing to note when you are trying to write a formula, you need to have an idea. I can't just carry my paper and pen and start writing because I just feel like writing. I need to have an idea of what I'm trying to formulate. Am I trying to formulate a deep conditioner? Am I trying to formulate a body lotion? Is in this phase also you think about what am I trying to solve with my product? Is my product for acne? Is my product for hair softening? You need to know what you are trying to formulate before you can come up with an idea. That's the first phase of writing a good formula. Without an idea, you will just be doing copy and paste. You just see any recipe online and you copy. You don't even know what the product is for, but you just see, you just want to formulate it. So that idea phase is the first phase of writing a good formula. You need to have done a little research about what you want to formulate and what you want to achieve with the product you are formulating. Just see it as a problem where you are bringing in the solution. That is what that phase is all about. Another thing that you need to note when trying to write a formula, you need to identify the key ingredient you are using in your formulation. Just like cooking, when you want to cook, you know the key ingredient that when they are not there, the food will not be tasty. So also when it comes to formulation, you need to do research about each ingredient that you're using in your formulation. The key ingredient, to select them, take time and write them out. Do a research about them. Do they blend? What's that compatibility? Are they compatible together in the formulation? If I use this product together, will my product separate? Those are the things that you need to look at when you're writing a formula. So you need to select the right ingredient that are compatible together. Another thing that you need to look at is stability. If I formulate with this product together, will my product be stable? Will there be separation? Will there be issues with my product? Can my product stay on the shelf for at least a year? Can my product stay on the shelf for at least 6 months? Those are the things you look at when writing a formula. You don't just copy a recipe. You look at the credibility of each ingredient that you're writing, the compatibility, how they can work together, the durability, how long they can stay together, and the shelf life and everything. So those are the things to put into consideration when writing out a formula. Another thing you need to take note of when writing a formula, you need to be creative. You need to just bring something different from the regular deep conditioner in the market or from the regular face wash in the market. Make something unique. For you to stand out, there needs to be something unique about your brand. You can decide to it can just be one ingredient or two that you alter from the regular way that it is, just make something unique. That's what makes you a good formulator. A good formulator is like an artist. You need to be creative. That's what will make your brand to stand out and to be unique. The research phase is very important. That's why in cosmetic science, there is what they call R&D, research and development. So after you've done all the research and everything that you need to do with your ingredient to make sure they are compatible, their stability, their shelf life and everything, then that is when you start thinking of developing your product. That's when you but have written the whole formula. Now I want to develop my product. That's the last phase of writing the formula. So if you're just starting out, it's advisable to start out with something simple, like a tested formula. So while you're learning how to write a formula, you can start up with other people's formula that you know that, yes, these formulas are tested. So just start out with a tested formula that you know. And as you're testing out with that, then start learning how to write your formula, start perfecting it gradually. By the time you write one, gradually you become perfect in it. They say practice make perfect. So ensure you're using ingredient the proper way. Do not exceed your dermal limit for any ingredient. And mistakes is something that is inevitable if you're a beginner formulator. Even as a professional, there are some formula you write, and at times you have to make some adjustments. It's just like cooking too. At times you oversalt your food, at times you know too much pepper and all that. So that's how formulation is. You will make mistake, especially if you are just starting out. Mistakes are inevitable. It's always advisable to make product in smaller batches so that the loss will be minimal while you are learning. So mistakes will help you learn. That's why having a workbook is a must. If you want to be an starting formulator, you need to have a workbook. It's not optional, it's mandatory, so that you can write and document your journey all through, all the errors and everything. You can be putting them down so you don't make those mistakes anymore. And even your formula that you're writing, when you're in your workbook, you just to go back to them whenever you want to formulate that same thing. You don't have to start writing a new formula. So the fun of experimenting with different raw materials is what makes you a formulator. You need to be somebody that loves experiment, research, and somebody that is creative. That's what will make you a good formulator. If you got value, kindly give me a thumbs up, hit the subscription button, and don't forget to press your notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you'll be the first to be notified of the video. Thanks for stopping by. God bless you. Do have a nice time. My name is Judith Egbe Eche. Bye-bye.